Oh, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is the part of the week on the Thursday night where we sit around the fireplace or whatever and listen to a middle-aged white guy from Canada talk about professional wrestling. Now, if I'm not self-aware enough, that should at least give you some kind of indication that maybe I am. But I want to thank you all for joining me this evening, right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, or whenever you're listening to this, but, specifically on the Thursday night, because I do record the podcast live every night on Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you ever have the chance to pop in and say hello, that is absolutely fantastic, because we have a fantastic crowd that joins us live here in the live chat every Thursday night. And they're nice, wonderful people. And if you're regular listeners of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, there are lots of names here that I will shout out to that you will recognize as well, such as Kelly Tonjes. Good to see you, Kelly. Welcome to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show chat. Tim Trevor. Hello, Tim. Welcome to the Mr. Warren. I'm not going to do that for everyone. Welcome, Tim. We haven't got Robert Larry who's here. Good to see you. Robert, all three of them, very good friends of the show. Good to see everyone. And they come in early, too. They hang around early before the show starts. It's always good to have you guys around. We've got Mr. Fretz, who's joined us tonight as well. Justin Firestein. Hello, Justin. Good to see you. We've got Ben in the chat as well. Pluggo is here. We've got Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, who is here tonight and was getting me all fired up. She was my warm-up act for the podcast tonight. So that's good to see. We've got Carlos here as well, Injection 2K. Good to see everyone. And we also have Anakin JMT. We'll get around to in a second. Don't worry, Anakin. But I want to thank everyone for joining me. And if you're here right now, consider giving the video a thumbs up. Seriously, honestly, you have no idea how much a thumbs up helps the show get around on YouTube. I can't begin to tell you how important it is. So it's a quick, simple, easy way to show some support, and I appreciate it already. And if you're hanging around and you haven't subscribed yet to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, well, maybe tonight will be the night that you subscribe. Maybe you'll feel, hey, Warren worked his ass off to entertain me tonight, to talk about wrestling, be informative / entertaining. Maybe tonight is the night I give him my subscription. Thank you very much as well. Thank you as well if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, because the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available in pure, true-to-form podcast format on all podcast apps. Thank you. Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever it is, show some love. A review, a follow, a subscription. That, again, all stuff that helps the show grow tremendously, help to get the word out there. I can only be a well-kept secret for so long before I start scratching the flesh off my arms, folks. Now, did this get dark unnecessarily? Yes. Yes, it did. But still, that's how anxious I can get. Hey, join the Mr. Warren Hayes Discord if you enjoy the chat here, or if you're unable to make it live and you do want to chat with some cool people whenever it works best for you. Mr. Warren Hayes Discord is really a fantastic place. I'm super proud of the Discord and everyone who's in there. So come on over. Link is in the description of the podcast right here. You can also join our Patreon at patreon.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. I do a post show with patrons only every Thursday night, not every night, every Thursday night after I'm done here with the mainstream, and it's interactive. There's chats, there's call-ins, it's a lot of fun. And tonight we will be talking about AEW New Japan crossovers. Gosh darn it, I don't know why that's suddenly a topic. But that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So if you want to join the Mr. Warren Hayes Patreon and show some support there, that's fantastic. You can also join this channel here as well. And it's a good idea if you come live and you want to have some extra emojis to flaunt around, emotes as the kids put them. If you want to flaunt those as we talk throughout the evening, show some support by becoming a channel member. That is also appreciated. Or you can also show some support by dropping a super chat, and I will read your super chat question, comment, mood, affiliation live on the air. Such as Anakin left us a very kind, generous super chat this evening. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, what better way to fight the bitter cold in this snowstorm I'm driving in than with Warren getting all fired up about things? That's true. God damn, there's a lot of stuff to talk about this week. P.S. Warren, my 8-year-old knows more about Godzilla and King Kong than you. Oh, no. No. I mean, I appreciate the super chat, Anakin, but you are entering some mighty, mighty slippery territory here. I'm not getting into... Honestly, if we were in any other week of wrestling, I'd probably give y'all a Godzilla rant, but there's just so much stuff to talk about this week. And I want to say a big hello to Spees in the Benchmark, who just dropped in. God, you guys... I love you guys so much, and I miss you guys. We got to do something soon. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Spees and Silky Guy. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, go subscribe to their Twitch channel. Find them on Twitter as well. Spees, Silky, they're fantastic. Just some great guys who do a great weekly podcast as well. Thank you guys for dropping in. Nick Wolf left us a super chat. Oh, well, I'll get to that, but it's a very generous super chat, but I'll hang on to it. But thank you very much, Nick. And there's a bunch of people who've joined us in the meantime as well. We've got 5th Generation Carney JY3, who's here. Good to see you. Welcome. We got Evan Wright, who's joined us as well. Hello, Evan. Fillmore Slim 06. Darnell, who's complimenting me on my hair. Hiya, Darnell. Who a friend of the show who's been here in the past. You can't really see it though. Look, just because Darnell is here tonight. There we go. How's that? So that Darnell is complimenting me on my hair tonight, so I feel like I at least have to give that to him, right? It's good to see you, man. Thank you for being here. Am I missing anyone? No, we're good. We're good. Flowman is here. Good to see you as well. All right, folks. Yeah. So, hey, I got some super chats coming in. We got so much stuff to talk about. Bert Macklin, good to see you. You're arriving on time, just as it is time to start the weekly wrestling inspection. Let's start off. It's a bit of a tradition. I start whenever there's some New Japan stuff to talk about. We're going to start by talking some New Japan Pro Wrestling. And here's a funny thing. I just want to share, like many of you, there's probably some of you out there who are listening to me and don't have any indication of what happens on the Twitter, the wrestling Twitter bubble. Like probably, I don't know. Maybe you do. But recently, there's been some people who have been accusing me of being an more like a WWE page shill. An AEW page shill. Because apparently I say a lot of good things about AEW. And it's funny because if anyone knows me well enough, and like you guys who tune in and who listen regularly, if there is any one promotion that I would agree that I'm a mark for, that I have difficulty finding bad things to say about, despite the fact that I've been critical, but still, if there is one promotion that I would find it hard to disagree with, if anyone were to call me, you're a mark for this promotion, it's New Japan. So whenever people call me an AEW mark, I slap my thighs. Or a WWE mark, it's like, you people don't know me at all. You really, really don't. If you called me a New Japan mark, I'd probably be like, yeah, probably. So the New Japan stuff this week, last Saturday actually, they had a big B show. Not one of the bigger shows. They had a tour. They've been having a tour since New Year's Dash. Now we're heading into the New Beginning show, and we had one of the two New Beginning show in Nagoya last Saturday. And it's not something you hear every day. But when this is one of the B shows that you have to go out of your way to watch because it was really good. And it's not super long either. I think like 2.5 hours and you're good. Right? And I think even in that I'm including the intermission where they clean everything down. Here's the thing. There were some multi-man matches on it that established some storylines, but for further past this tour here. But you've got 3 matches on that card. You've got the Great-O-Khan versus Hiroyoshi Tenzan. You've got Will Ospreay versus Satoshi Kojima. And you've got Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Shingo Takagi, which are absolutely fantastic matches. And that you kind of, I feel like it's recommended viewing. In the case of Tenzan versus Great-O-Khan, it's not a mind-blowing match. Excuse me. It's not a blind match either, but it's not a mind-blowing match. It's not something where you're like, my God, this revolutionizes everything. But this is the culmination of an angle. Actually, this match and the Ospreay-Kojima match as well. Culmination of an angle that started at New Year's Dash that they built up slowly but surely. Tenzan did basically the new empire, which is the United Empire, which is Ospreay's faction, in which Great-O-Khan is a part of as well. They attacked Tenzan, Kojima, and Tenzan did a stretcher job for Great-O-Khan. So they established that moving forward, and this was the payoff from that angle there, where you had the Tenkozy guys taking on the United Empire in singles matches. Great-O-Khan defeated Tenzan. There was a stipulation here saying that the winner of this match, that the loser of this match could no longer use the Mongolian chop move, which was a move that Tenzan used religiously. It was part of his basic repertoire. Now it's officially the Great-O-Khan's. And I mean, the match was built perfectly. It was fine and had a great finish. Nice, dramatic. There was a lot of value to this match, if you know what I'm talking about. This was really, really good. Kojima versus Ospreay was a no DQ match, and this was just absolutely fantastic. Like a great toys match, but without leaning too hard into the chairs and the ladders. Because we got 50-year-old Satoshi Kojima taking table bumps, and a pristine table bump against a table that was leaned up against the corner, just got power bombed right through it and took it like a pro. Ospreay ate a Kojima lariat off the turnbuckle to the floor through a ladder that was set up against the guardrail. Amazing. We even got a guitar spot in this match. Fuck's sake. And it took 2 hidden blades from Ospreay, plus, and one of them was with a chair, plus the Stormbreaker to put Kojima away. This, guys, is how you use your legends in the year 2021 when you're moving forward and trying to build new guys within your company. Tenzan and Kojima, and especially Kojima. Satoshi Kojima is, I think we undervalue, or at least we don't quite grasp how popular and still important he is to the Japanese audience. Having that guy put over Will Ospreay in the way he did, in a fighting way, not just laying down and like, oh, you beat me, but giving him a run for his money, a solid one, and Ospreay being able to put him away, that's a big deal. It's a big deal for Ospreay, and it was a big deal for Great-O-Khan putting Tenzan away. And look, they didn't 50-50 anyone. It's not like, oh, Great-O-Khan or Tenzan did the stretcher job, so Tenzan's going to win. No. They want to create a guy. They want to make a guy, Great-O-Khan, and we weren't done with Great-O-Khan, by the way. They wanted to do something with Great-O-Khan, have him go over Tenzan. There we go. They're establishing their stars, moving on. Now, Am I actually now on the complete side where I know a lot of people are in here and they're like, hey, you know what? Tenzon, not Tenzon, but Great Khan, he's fantastic. He's the next coming of Christ. No, I still don't quite see the long-term attraction in Great Khan. He's not a bad wrestler. He's not. He has a lot of intangibles. He's got a fantastic presence. I'm not taking things away from him. I'm just still not as high on him as a lot of people are. I don't quite see it yet, and I'll admit to being blind to that. But we have more than enough time to be surprised. And here's the other thing that's really important to mention: Wrestle Kingdom, Ospreay's group, all lost their matches. Right? They lost all of their matches at Wrestle Kingdom. And what were we talking about? What was I talking about when we came back, did the Wrestle Kingdom post show? I was like, well, look, they came in and they bit off more than they could chew, going after Tanahashi, Okada, Shingo. It's like, whoa, you young whippersnappers, you're taking up too much. So they just shot too high and they got knocked down. So what are they doing? Dusting themselves off, getting back on the horse. 2021 is going to be a great year for Will Ospreay. It's going to be a big year to establish another big heel in the company, a main event, top guy, top level heel, which they absolutely need because they can't sit around and wait for evil to get over. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So I'm excited to see how this goes because there's a lot of exciting shit to it. And then the main event, we're like a month out of Wrestle Kingdom and we're still getting a match of the year contenders. We're getting a match of the year contender for the never open weight title on a B show. Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Shingo Takagi. He is the new neverweight champion. Brilliant this match was. Did not drag. Every spot, every hold, everything had a purpose. I don't know what to tell you. Tanahashi never held the neverweight title up until this point. Haha, I wasn't trying to be clever. So he adds that one to his repertoire. That's cool. We continue to elevate the workhorse title of New Japan, the Never Belt. That was the story of 2020. And look at this. We got Hiroshi Tanahashi still at the top of his game, able to go through this, win the title in a great match against Shingo. And I'm crossing my fingers that this means that we're starting to try to push Shingo as well up into the upper sphere of talent, because Shingo's a main event level guy. He just is. But the thing here is that after the match, Great Khan came out, blindsided Tanahashi while Tanahashi was celebrating, and basically laid down the gauntlet to challenge Tana for the title, for the Never title. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. So New Japan sees something special in Great Khan. I'm excited to see it. But clearly you can't argue with them putting their younger talent over. You can't. And honestly, I was looking at this match and I was watching this match and I was a little overwhelmed at how fucking good Hiroshi Tanahashi is. And folks, I got to tell you, and I know a lot of people are gonna say Chris Jericho, greatest of all time, but I got to tell you, I don't think there is a better wrestler, a greater wrestler who has done more in his career than Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think he is the GOAT. A guy who came up through the system, came up at a moment where New Japan was at its bleakest, put the company on his back, took the company, put it on his back, infused his own style, a sort of a mesh between between the serious strong style that we knew about New Japan, but adding in some Western flair to it, and he's still wrestling at such a high level. Bless Chris Jericho for reinventing himself over decades, and a shrewd, smart business guy. But I dare you to go see Shingo Takagi and Hiroshi Tanahashi from last Saturday. I dare you to go watch that match and tell me that Chris Jericho can hang on that level. I don't think he can. I don't think he has that anymore. He's not bad. He's not washed up. I just think Tanahashi's on another level than him. I really do. And then, of course, throughout all that, then after, we're back on the road, and Jay White returns. And all is safe. All is good. Now, when I was watching the Royal Rumble, was I watching the men's Royal Rumble, especially when we got towards the end of the Rumble and we were up there in the 20s, was I watching the Royal Rumble with bated breath, hoping deep inside myself that Jay White was not going to walk out? I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I was kind of worried. I was like, why would he do this? And I was trying to talk myself out of it. Why would he do this? Why? He's fine. He's going to be in New Japan. Warren, what are you worried about? And yet here I was, just going, and then when it wasn't Jay White, I just go, and then we get to number 26, and I'm like, but he's back in New Japan. It was all work. It was all a ruse. I'm for it. He's back, and he doesn't give a shit. He's taking on Chaos. He's beating the shit out of Tomohiro Ishii. Beating the shit out of Goto. Doesn't give a fuck. That's my Jay White. That's the Jay White I want. My God, I was happy. I was so glad to see him back. So that's big news. Everything is right in the world. And then we got the whole Bullet Club stuff. My God, we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that. Let's get some final thoughts on the Royal Rumble. I'm going to keep the cool beans up. I thought it was a good card. But I'm not as enthusiastic regarding this WWE pay-per-view as I have been towards many others. I thought TLC 2021 was probably the best pay-per-view that 2020, was probably the best pay-per-view that WWE put on all year. I thought Survivor Series was very good. I thought Payback was a particularly good WWE pay-per-view. SummerSlam was very good. Royal Rumble, I thought it was fine. I don't think there was anything overtly egregious about it. Let's get to it. In the pre-show, we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defeating Asuka and Charlotte Flair to regain the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, and I couldn't care less because Nia Jax, and she continues to be Nia Jax. She continues to be an absolute waste of space on the WWE roster. And yeah, I mean, let's just get this one out. There's nothing much to say. Everyone did their best, just like it. And of course, for some reason, we have to give the titles back to, well, not for some reason, right? If I know my WWE, Shayna and Nia were back to being at odds with each other. Now they're champions again. Now they're going to be back at odds with each other. They're going to lose the titles at one of the next two papes coming up to lead into a singles match at WrestleMania, which I could not care less about. And it breaks my heart for Shayna Baszler that she has to work with that sack of potatoes. My God. Drew McIntyre defeated Goldberg in a singles match to retain the WWE Championship. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. I talked about this. I think it was on the slate on Monday. The pre-shows, the pre-shows that I do, the pre-streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7:30 p.m. If you ever want to pop by, we preview the wrestling shows that are coming up at 8 o'clock. So here's the thing. The concept of lose face. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. I want to credit it to Steve of Going in Raw, but I'm not quite sure if he's the guy who invented it. But he's the first guy I heard talk about it a few years ago, where a wrestler comes out and doesn't quite have the same mannerisms as he or she has usually when she's coming out as a champion, or, you know, when they win. Just little details. When you observe a wrestler enough, you're like, wait a minute, he's got lose face. Meaning that he's not coming out as a winner. He looks like he's booked to lose kind of thing. He looks a little dejected, a little pissed off. Now here's the thing. I saw it and I tweeted it out. Goldberg has lose face. He came out with such low energy. I was like, you son of a bitch. Yeah. You're coming out clearly to lose and you're just going to go through the motions? You're going to be like, collect a paycheck? You fucker. And it was, Anakin just left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. It's a super pertinent one. Goldberg drew bell to bell, joke, bell to bell was 2 minutes, 35 seconds, 85 hundredths of a second. Thank you for that, Anakin. That's how long the match was, and he still managed to do the wonkiest jackhammer, which I think moving forward we should call the janky hammer. I don't ever want Bill Goldberg to lift anyone healthy or unhealthy into a jackhammer ever again. And then, I don't know if you noticed this, hits the jackhammer, then of course goes for the pin, because that's usually what happens. He gets a spear, he gets a jackhammer, gets the win. But fucking Goldberg's arm is right under Drew's shoulder. And the referee is counting it. I'm like, ref! Fucking moron Bill Goldberg has his arm under the guy's shoulder. He doesn't even know how to pin a dude anymore. Drew beats him, and fucking Goldberg goes up to him, sign of respect, says, "You got the best of me today?" And he tells him, "You passed the test. You passed the test." 2021, Bill Goldberg thinks like he's this final boss in wrestling still. Thinks he's this hurdle that you have to leap over, that you have to conquer, this mountain you have to climb to legitimize yourself as some kind of champion. And the thing is that he thinks it for real. He's actually into himself to that point where he's like, hey, this guy defeated me, so that's special. It's not. You're not special, Bill. You haven't been special since you were tasered by Scott Hall. Or was it Kevin Nash? By the Outsiders. You haven't been special since then. I'll say it once, I'll say it a million times. Bill Goldberg was an attraction. He was a draw. He was never a professional wrestler. And it's especially egregious to see that kind of shit go down. And then in the meantime, just the day before, I was watching 50-year-old Kojima taking bumps like he shouldn't even be taking at his age. I'm looking at 50-year-old into his mid-40s, near 50s, Hiroshi Tanahashi bringing out his A game, doing fucking frog splashes to the floor off the top turnbuckle. And I've got Bill Goldberg, who can't even lift the guy to do his fucking finishing maneuver, extending a hand and saying, "You passed the test." Fuck off, Bill Goldberg. And yes, I know he's got another match. I know he's got another match in his contract coming up. And you know what? I'm going to be mad about it again. And I'm going to be mad about it until they decide to not put that guy in the ring anymore. Because this is a guy who absolutely does not give a shit about the business. He doesn't care about wrestling. He stopped caring once he started losing, when he started being pristine and he actually had to lay down for people. Fuck that guy. I'm glad he lost. But that's really the only, that's my sore spot of the Royal Rumble. If we're being honest, Sasha Banks defeated Carmella, accompanied by Reginald, by submission, of course, to retain the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Fine match. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. DGMC. Oh, DGMC, thank you so much. That's such a kind, generous super chat. And he says, he goes, "This is awesome. Clap, 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 clap. This is us. Thank you very much." I appreciate that. Way too kind, way too generous. Thank you so much. So I mean, it was a fine match, and honestly, I don't understand. I really don't understand the Carmella hate. I really don't. I've never understood it. I think she's a very, very good worker. I think she is one of the women who has always put effort in what she does, and she trains. She goes hard. This is someone that I'm absolutely mystified that they decide she will take a back seat to people like Nia Jax. I think Carmella has value. I think she's very good at what she does. And she and Sasha work well together. I mean, it wasn't, not match of the year, but it was absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with it. Absolutely not. Evan Wright left a super chat a little earlier. Thank you very much. Says Shayna Baszler walking out to Nia Jax's music kills her aura. Right? I'm not like most girls. You're damn right. I mean, if you know about Shayna a little bit, you're goddamn right. She's really not like most girls. Shayna's such a badass. And Nick and Evan, I haven't forgotten about your New Japan AEW super chats. I'll get around to them when I come around there. Yeah, so there we go. Okay. The Women's Royal Rumble match. I thought it ruled. I thought it was well paced. I thought it was super well booked. I think the right woman won. I thought we got the right final four. No shenanigans. No, this person had been lying on the outside the entire time and whoopsie daisy, she comes back in at the last minute. None of that. It's straight up. And here's something that I really appreciated. One of the minor irritants that I have of the Royal Rumble is that at some point it feels like they don't want more than 8 to 9 people in the ring at the same time. But I think at some point in the Women's Royal Rumble, there was like a dozen, like 12 to 14 women. I was like, wow, okay. And they're all doing stuff and they were keeping the spots clear. I liked that. I really, really liked that. I thought that was really cool. Billie Kay is such a highlight. She was so good looking for a partner with her headshot and then people turning her down until she finds Jillian Hall. Brilliant stuff. Bayley coming in at number 1. How well? Of course, right? And she played the part. And I don't think people underscored enough the work that she did with Peyton Royce, right? Because the work she did with Peyton Royce all ties into a bigger story where Peyton Royce has pinned Bayley while she was still SmackDown champion. No, at Survivor Series. She pinned her at Survivor Series just after Bayley had lost the title. There we go. So there's still that thing that's unresolved and won't be resolved soon because they're both on separate brands. But I like the idea that they're hinting at it. Oh, they're working together, but at the same time, Peyton Royce is like, bruh, I got your number. And I like that. It was little subtle things. And not enough people talked about it. I thought it was really cool. And I mean, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley ended up being the women at the end who won. I ended up writing an article on it. I wrote it up after the Royal Rumble, which I don't do very often, but over on belltobells.com, that's BELLTOBELLEES for your women's wrestling news opinion. It's your women's wrestling wire. That's what it is. I wrote my feelings, my thoughts on the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble, and I think they did a fantastic job at elevating those two talents. It's the main takeaway. Bianca Belair coming in at number 3, making it to the very end. Historic performance for her. I think the second black person or person of color to have won the Royal Rumble, it's a big deal, right? So I think the other person being The Rock. So it's a big deal. Establishes her as a credible and serious contender for the women's division. Rhea Ripley had a dominant Rumble outing. She had the most eliminations, I think at 7, and she did it with, being Rhea Ripley again. And Rhea Ripley had some rehabilitation to do. So let's do it. Let's kick it off here. And it's fantastic because they gave us these two women at the end, two women who have strong support from fans, but also wrestling critics, pundits. They have their support for being total package wrestlers, that combine athleticism and appeal. Couldn't have been a better, stronger indication that people were behind, let's say, Rhea Ripley than last year after WrestleMania 36 when she lost to Charlotte and basically didn't do shit with her after. And people got unnerved as well in regards to Bianca Belair, who got called up last year and they barely did anything with her. So, a puzzling year for her as well. And so it was great to see these women finally get a spot in the sun like this. And do not let the symbolism of Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair both eliminating Charlotte Flair at once, don't let that symbolism be lost on you. The oftentimes reviled Charlotte Flair among fans is perceived as the golden girl, right? She's the Roman Reigns of the women's division. She's the John Cena of the women's division. She was tossed out by two women who are perceived as the future of the business and who have a groundswell of support. It's significant. There's a meaning behind this, and it cannot be downplayed. It just can't. And while the men's Royal Rumble, I thought, was a paint by numbers kind of thing where there was really nothing exceptional to talk about, I think the women's was completely the opposite. And it was a good one. It was really, really good. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much again, DGMC. He says, do you think Belair's feud with Bayley will be wrapped up soon, or could it carry over to Mania if she challenges for the SD title, SmackDown title, in a triple threat? I have two thoughts on this, and I actually put out a poll on the community tab on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Be sure you subscribe and take part in these community discussions that I've started up. I'm trying to interact more there because I kind of like it. I kind of like it more than other websites out there. I have two thoughts. The first thought, Shayna, Bianca, that's your money match for WrestleMania. That's the thing. I think it's the most natural fit. It's the one you want. It's the one you absolutely want to see. And I think that's what we should get. But I can also see them turning it into a triple threat, getting Bayley involved at some level because of her friendship and rivalry with Sasha. Maybe they want to rekindle that a bit. I can see it turning into a triple threat as well. But I'd be hard pressed to see Bianca Belair in a title match at WrestleMania and not win the title. I think you push her. You make her come across as strong. You give her the golden year. I think that's what you do. Don't 50-50 her too quickly. Roman Reigns defeated Kevin Owens in a last man standing match to retain the Universal Championship. Why isn't Kevin Owens being showered in praise for his performance at not WrestleMania, at the Royal Rumble this weekend? And I'm going to tell you straight off the bat, I think this is why why sometimes I think we are, when I say we as a community, myself even sometimes, I'm guilty of it. Sometimes we are unjust and unfair in regards to WWE, where we'll poo-poo some really good stuff, or we'll have a reflex, well, Kevin Owens in WWE is clearly not the PWG Kevin Owens or the ROH Kevin Owens who used to also wrestle simultaneously in IWC. And, you know, it's like, stop. Did I say IWC? That's not what I meant. ICW is what I meant. Kevin Owens, in and about himself, put on a hell of a show for us. And that guy deserves everything at this point. To have been so entertaining, so good in this match, put his body on the line like he did. Absolutely amazing. Did I like the ending? No, I didn't like the ending. Regardless of whether Paul Heyman had to fiddle around with the handcuffs too much, or the fact that they had to cut away from the referee, because he had stopped counting. Like, regardless of all of that, right? Regardless of all of that, I don't think it was a good ending to this match. I really don't. I thought it lacked a little. It lacked a proper climax. Even if Paul Heyman had got the handcuffs off in time, I still think it would have lacked a little something. That's just me. But I like this match. Like, I'm not going to bemoan it. I thought it was good. Jermaine Presley, by the way, hello, welcome to the chat. Left us a super chat. Thank you very much. Says, I can see Carmella teaming with Bayley to win the women's tag titles. That would be fun. You know what I would like, Jermaine? I'd like the women's tag teams, the women's tag team titles to go hang around NXT for a while. That's something I would really, really like. That's something I would really, really like to see. But yeah, Bayley and Carmella could be a fun tag team. I agree. Thank you for the super chat. DGMC left us a super chat again. Thank you very much. It says KO versus a San Francisco Giants cap at WrestleMania booking. No, have him stop throwing himself off of things. He doesn't have to do that anymore. The man has children. That's enough. We love you, Kevin. Although, we're laughing because it's true. Anakin JMT left us a super chat again. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, I fully understand how high Kevin Owens was in the air on the high-low, and it still terrified me. I'll never look at my high-low again. I guess that's what you call a lift, right? Forklift. I know it's high-low, but yeah. Yeah. It was high. It was so freaking high. That's a hell of a bump he took there. He took 2 crazy ass bumps in this match. And the funniest thing on the entire pay-per-view is when he was on that riser when they were in the back after the spot, and Roman did a move on him and he was down and the referee was counting, and KO just rolled off the riser back onto his feet. Like he didn't try to stand up. He was just like rolling off. Kind of like when you're really tired. Like Chris and I, we were laughing. It's like when you're really tired and you just roll out of bed, and then you're up on your feet. I thought that was funny as hell, and it also made sense. I loved it. I really liked the match. I thought it was great. And Edge won the men's Royal Rumble by eliminating Randy Orton at the very end, of course. Couple of quick points because I do want to move on. I've been talking a lot about the Royal Rumble. My pick was Bobby Lashley, and I still think that was the right pick. I really do. I still think it's the best pick you could have done. You could have created Bobby Lashley as a monster just like you created Drew last year. You could have done the exact same thing. I don't get it. I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't have a U.S. title match earlier in the evening. Take the title off of Lashley, put him in there, put him in the main event scene. I don't understand. It just baffles my mind. I don't get it. The Bad Bunny stuff. We have to talk about this, right? We have to talk about this. Bad Bunny getting into a thing with Miz ruining that $450 DJ set up on stage. Doing the leap off the top rope. Look, I don't care if this is a response to Snoop Dogg. I couldn't give a shit. I've told you guys, if it is, I'm all for it. If it was something that they saw, hey, look at, they have Snoop doing top rope dives on Dynamite. Do you think we could get Bad Bunny to do it? And then they convince him, and they're like, yeah, I'll do it. And I'm all the more for it. I'm okay with this kind of petty shit. Makes me laugh. Now, the thing though, of course, is all the reaction that people were generating. Where it's like, I don't know who this guy is. And I just want to top off everything with two solid points here. And I think they're pretty solid. If you don't know who Bad Bunny is/was, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. That means that whatever WWE is trying to do is not meant for you. You, as a longtime wrestling viewer, know that wrestling companies will try to get that tasty, sweet mainstream media attention, right? They try to break out of their bubble so that they can attract fans from elsewhere. Bad Bunny has a big, huge following. TikTok, Spotify, the whole 9 yards. He's big. Plus, he talks to a market that WWE likes to call their own at the same time. So there's all sorts of good synergies here. Apologies for the corporate speak, but still, that's what they were going for. So if you're like me, and you're like, I don't know who this kid is, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Because they have AC/DC doing the theme song on Friday nights, and I still think it's cringe. And that's supposed probably to speak to me a little more. And I still think it's cringe. So whatever they do here, if you don't know who he is, it's fine. They're not doing it for you. They're doing it for someone else. They want the teenagers that follow Bad Bunny on TikTok to see his splash and be like, hey man, wrestling. You know, that's what they want. And that's okay. But what's not okay is WWE coming out and telling you that if you don't know who Bad Bunny is, you're the problem. That's another story though. That's a whole other 9 yards. Because that's something that happened this week. Over on the WWE on Fox account. You had Ryan Satin make a video basically telling you straightforward, if you don't know who Bad Bunny is, then you are not in tune with pop culture. Never, ever, ever talk down to your audience. Never. Never tell your customers or potential customers that they're wrong in feeling the way they do, in responding the way they do. That is basic customer relations. It's such elementary PR. And yet, we've got videos going up saying, you didn't like Bad Bunny? That's your problem. Whereas, if you're a savvy marketing person who works within WWE, you will take all of the feedback that you receive, good and negative, and you will analyze it. You'll take a look at it and say, was this a good decision or not ultimately? But you definitely do not go and chide your audience for voicing their opinion, saying, not even your audience, your customers, the people that you're saying week after week, hey, give me money to my network weeks and watch my shows on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays so that I can buy advertising to try and sell you more shit. Buy our merch. Don't talk down to your customers. If Ryan Satin was still at Pro Wrestling Sheet and wanted to do that on his own, all the more power to him. That's fine. He's just a pundit. He's just a guy behind a keyboard, and he's got no affiliations to the company. So if he wants to say, well, the audience who tuned in clearly weren't aware of who, and that's his thing. But on an official PR account, you have WWE telling you that you're stupid for not understanding who he is. They're being condescending towards you. And I don't understand people who then turn around and try to defend it. How can a company on one hand say, give me your money, and then on the other hand say, you guys are stupid fuckers for not knowing what we're trying to do, but still give us your money, but you also are a bunch of morons. And then you wonder why they're losing viewers week after week. We're going to talk about that a little later. Because we got the Q4 and the yearly earnings call that happened today. And I hate it. And it's not just WWE who does it. AEW is very good at it as well. Brandy Rhodes, she's a queen at it. She's very, very good at alienating fans. Cody's hasn't been as bad, but there was a time where I was like, oh, bro, this is not how you're supposed to do it. It's just that simple. You don't talk down to your audience. Because at some point when you're on social media, when you're on Twitter, you're presenting personas. If you're taking it really that personally, you need to build up just a slightly better wall. And I'm not going to say that you should, that the negative responses that they get, the trollish shit, especially in the case of Bad Bunny, that the racism that was generated from his performance, it wasn't warranted. It was warranted, excuse me, because it wasn't. Brandy gets a lot of shit, and she doesn't deserve a fraction of the shit she gets. The Bad Bunny stuff brought out some of the worst shit I'd seen, like some disgustingly racist shit. But the thing is, if this is what you want to call out ultimately as a company, then go out and say, hey, you get Ryan Satin or whoever on a video and you say, hey, you know what? You guys are being racist. Shut up. That's value. That's something there. But flipping it around, but being vague about it, being like, whoa, if you don't know who he is, you don't know what pop culture is about, that serves nothing. And you're not defending anything. You're not sticking up for no one. If you want to call out the racism, you put your big boy pants on and you call it for what it is, and you don't go pussyfooting around saying, well, you're not in contact with pop culture today. Jesus Christ. Alienating your fan base even more. Making the people that don't like you, dislike you even more. There's no strategy, no proper PR strategy that exists to create goodwill for your company, for your corporation, that involves talking down to your customers. No, the customer's not always right. This is also something that I believe, but you don't have to tell them that you think that they're not always right. Got a couple of super chats here. Also want to say hello to Vape. Ross, Vape, good to see you, man. It's been a while. Welcome to the chat. And look at that, Throwback is here. Our boy Throwback. Good to see you as well. Evan Wright left us a super chat. Thank you very much. Says, I'm more a Happy Rabbit fan than excuse me, I can't read. I'm more a Happy Rabbit fan over Bad Bunny, to be honest. Yes. I mean, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And that's the point. It's not for you. Move on. If it doesn't speak to you, then it's not for you. That's not who they're trying to go get. DGMC left us a super chat as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Says, wouldn't be the first time WWE painted fans as heels. Oh, God, no. No. There's a history of this. That's why it's not that it surprises me. It's not that I'm like, my God, where did this come from? It's a pattern of behavior. That's what makes it even more egregious, if you ask me. Benoit Parizet left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Ben. He says that rant was amazing with some hearts. Thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate it. It went on a little too much. Because Edge wins the Royal Rumble. I want to go back to a super chat that was left to us by Mr. Fretz. Thank you very much, Mr. Fretz, for the super chat. He says, did anyone else cry at the Edge and Christian reunion? I got emotional. I went, oh, this is so good. Legitimately great surprise to see Christian in the Royal Rumble, a guy who isn't supposed to wrestle anymore, who's supposed, done, physically done. I thought it was wonderful. I really do. I thought it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. Loved it when they did that double team maneuver again. I just got it pinched my heart. I was like, oh, this is so nice. This is so good. Edge wins. There's Randy Orton stuff. Look, it doesn't really matter. Edge wins. I'm going to tell you what I like about this. I like that Edge hasn't made up his mind. I like that Edge he went to Raw. He went to NXT last night. He's shopping around for the title. He's going to see how the champions, what kind of vibe he gets from them. Can I beat this guy? Can I beat Finn? Can I beat Drew? Probably he's going to pop up on SmackDown on Friday. Like, can I handle this Roman guy? Then he runs into Killer Cross last night. Look, it's good shit, and I can get behind this. I think it's a good idea to sort of put your titles on the same pedestal, and be again this year for this WrestleMania. They did it at least with the women's title last year, and be like, you know what? What if Edge wants to challenge for the NXT title? That'd be great. That'd be really great. So I like what they're doing here. Not a lot of people are pissed off about the age thing. There was a tweet that was put out that I retweeted that the average age in the Royal Rumble, the average age was like 38, I think. Or I think I'm overshooting it. It was up there. And I thought it was an interesting statistic. Because a lot of people are like, oh, WWE, all they're depending on is on their old guys. Damian Priest is 38. Edge is a Hall of Famer and he's old. And this other guy's old. And Bobby Lashley's old. And AJ Styles is old. And people who have that argument aren't entirely wrong, right? Because it's so heavy-handed on one end. And the main complaint that a lot of us have towards WWE is that they're not building a next generation of stars. That's why we always fall back into wanting to bring Hall of Famers onto big shows on cards because we haven't built any big stars to take those spots on the big shows, but we can't build those new stars for these big spots because we're using Hall of Famers because we don't have big stars. It becomes a Mobius strip, right? So no, WWE doesn't create new stars anymore per se. This is something that I adhere to. They have trouble building new people who are compelling and who make us want to tune in every week and who'll be there for another 10, 15 years. That's one thing. But on the other hand, I do want to point out that we're in an era where wrestlers have longer careers. And they're not over the hill once they hit 35 like it was in the 80s and 90s. A lot of these guys can still go and go very, very well. And this is not the first time I talk about this. I will always stick up for older wrestlers continuing to have careers, and I'm doing air quotes here for those just listening, past their prime. I think a perfect example of this is Dustin Rhodes, who was considered washed up. And arguably, since AEW had its inception, he's had the best matches of the past 30 years of his career. There's there's something to be said about that as well. Now, is it perfect? No, it's not. I think the scales are tipped a little too far in the area of the older guys. There's too much of the talent which is up there in age. And sometimes it's not even a question of sometimes the older you get, your body doesn't heal as quickly or doesn't react the same way. It's not the same. It's just not quite. Your body won't necessarily follow you after a sprain. Might be harder to come back from. Age has that factor as well. But wrestlers are smarter. They're taking care of their bodies better. The rings are more forgiving. Wrestlers aren't addicted to pills. They're not carrying, their cocaine in their bags anymore. At least, some of them, a lot of them. Wrestlers are treating wrestling more like a sport and having access, and they have access to sports physicians and therapists and so on and so forth. Whereas in the 80s, Nick Bockwinkel didn't give a shit. He's just like, I hurt myself. I'm gonna rub some. I'm gonna rub some icy hot on it, and I'll be back out tomorrow night, kind of thing. So I get the age argument, but at the same time, I don't, because there's too many people who are still up there and still go. There's way too many of them. Jermaine Presley left us a super chat. Thank you very much again, Jermaine. Says, Edge challenging Roman Reigns and losing to Roman will give Roman the ultimate heel heat. But if Edge wins the title at Roman from WrestleMania, I think this is a fantasy situation that you're creating here, Jermaine. I agree. If Edge were to challenge Roman for the title, it'd be great. And personally, that's how I'd book it too. I'd have Roman beat the shit out of Edge. But you also have the impression that they want Edge to have, I think, one of the reasons they put Edge back into this is because they just want to give him a proper send-off in front of an audience. I really do. Like, even if it's a limited audience, like at WrestleMania 37 this year. Last year he came back, got the huge roar at Royal Rumble, but then after that, everything shut down, right? So I understand why they might want to do it, why they might want to put the strap on him. It'd be a big deal. And the more I think about it, the more I think Roman the more I think about it, Edge challenging Roman makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I think that'd be fun. Evan Wright left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Evan. Again for another super chat. He says, thoughts on my fantasy booked Dustin Runnels versus Hiroshi Tanahashi match. I think that would be a lot of fun. And I think, you know what? I think Tanahashi would bring the best out of Dustin. I really do. Not that he'd carry him, but I think that Tana could guide him into areas which would be uncharted for Dustin. Let's put it that way. I think it would be very, 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 very good. It'd be a good show. Anakin GMT left us another super chat. Anakin, thank you so much. He says, Jimmy Van Unlisted goes on last week, gave great context as to why Taker said what he did. He's still misguided, but there is context. It's not even the question of the soft thing, if that's what we're talking about. It's not even a question of wrestlers being soft or whatever. And, I still think it's a bullshit quote regardless. But the whole age thing goes beyond being soft or not. It's wrestlers treating their profession like a profession and having access to resources that they didn't have in the past. So that's why they're having longer careers. That's why they're able to perform on this level, even though they're in their 40s, their 50s. At some point, it just becomes simple math. Thank you for the super chat. I want to say hello to the Yankee Power. Welcome to the chat. Okay, hey, I've talked a lot about WWE. I'm skipping over Raw. My God. We're just going to start talking about AEW. Guys, I got to do it. The Sting stuff on AEW. I'm good. I'm good. I think they overplayed it. I don't think it was well booked. I don't think it's interesting anymore. Week after week, it's Sting is here. And I'm like, cool. And then I wait for something to happen and nothing happens. And, something that I've talked about in the past, and here we go, the storytelling. Usually when you're telling a story, week after week, you go from point A to point B to point C to point D. And I've talked about this in regards to WWE quite a bit because they're experts at it. Where week after week, you just go from point A to point B, and then you stay in point B, week after week, and they give you the impression that they're storyline advancement, but no, we're still at the exact same place we were. And it's been a couple of weeks since we got a story beat in the Sting, Darby Allin, Team Taz stuff. And it's weird because here's what makes it weird. Is that I feel like AEW is not fearful of not... let me start over. AEW isn't afraid of not putting on some of its big names on a given week. We've seen weeks where no Young Bucks, Kenny Omega's not here, Jon Moxley's not here, and then they come back next week and everything's fine. And I'm okay with that. Because it's a constant criticism I have with WWE. It's always the same people you see week after week. Sometimes you can give them a month and have them come back. And we'll have missed them. We'll have had a little time to have missed them, right? And I don't know why they felt compelled to put Sting on TV week after week, especially in the context where he comes out, the lights go down, and they come back up with the Tron and the snow, and he comes out, and he's got the baseball bat, and he stares at people, and then he goes back away. Or the next week, maybe he'll do the same, but he'll say a word on the microphone, and he'll go away. There's no advancement. Yeah. It's been Sting, week after week, week after week, and I'm like, come on, guys, let's do something. And I've been calling it for weeks. I want Sting to get beat down because I have to get a reason to want these heels to get the shit beat out of them. And we're probably getting it next week with the Darby Janela match. But can you imagine Darby Janela, that, if they became a couple? That's how we'd call them, Darby Janela. Sting needs to, there's something that has to happen. And God bless Taz and Team Taz for carrying this angle. Because I get excited whenever I see Sting and Darby and pop up. I'm like, I'm stoked to see Taz. That's what I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see him and his bunch of goons do goon shit. I'm excited to listen to Taz I'm excited to see Taz, to listen to Taz get pissed off for whatever reason. That makes me happy. But we need something. We need something more. Jermaine Presley with another super chat. Thank you very much, Jermaine. He says Sasha Banks has to turn heel versus Bianca at WrestleMania, but most importantly, Sasha has to win because she is 0-6 at WrestleMania. I don't think she has to turn heel. I don't think she has to. But the 0-6 thing, I dig that kind of stuff. I like these curses. I like these little statistics where it's like, a little more. I like these defeatist statistics. I'd be okay with Sasha being like, you know, and I never won the big one at WrestleMania, and we all have a good chuckle about it, because the Triple H has a losing record at WrestleMania, you know? And it's okay. It's kind of part of a joke. It's fine, you know? But honestly, I think we can have a babyface versus babyface match here. I really do. Evan Wright left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, need more Hook mean mugging the camera. He rules. We need more Hook beating the shit out of QT Marshall in training. Did you guys see that? QT Marshall posted pictures of his lip being split, and he's got a black eye, and he tags Hook, and he says, working stiff in training, and he tags Hook. I'm like, shit, Hook beat the shit out of him in training. That's really funny. It's really funny to me. Some quick cool beans here. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker ruled, and I don't care who you are. This was a good match. I think you have to be a very, very bad faith human being to be like, no, this match stank it up. No. This was very, very, very strong. It was a very, very good women's match on AEW that was given time. Thunder Rosa is so fucking good at what she does. Britt Baker is so fucking good at what she does. Britt Baker has grown into the heel character, not only as a heel persona, but as a wrestler. It has been her calling. Can you imagine when AEW started, they wanted her to be the face, the baby face, the face of the women's division, the smiling top babyface woman in the company, and it wasn't working out. They flipped it around, they pivoted it, decided to do the heel turn, and she has been nothing but gold. Her character work has been impeccable, and she has improved tremendously in the ring. She is such a joy to watch. She has been a joy to watch. She is one of the great AEW success stories. Thunder Rosa, I don't know what's going on with NWA. Thunder Rosa is ranked. They're probably going to announce her being hired soon. God damn. Bringing her in was probably one of the best decisions that these people have done in regards to their women's division. Good shit. You know what else is good shit? The AEW Women's Eliminator. That we got the details we wanted. Now we had heard, and I talked about it in the Discord, which you should join. Sometimes you get some little insider stuff. I'm not much of an insider, but there are promoters I talk to. There is talent that I've interviewed and so on and so forth. So there is stuff that I'm privy to, and Kristen is as well. And we had mentioned it first on Bell to Bells as well. We had brought it out there that we had heard that the Japanese side of the bracket was indeed going to take place on Japanese soil and was going to be shot there. We had heard about this before everything was sort of officialized on Wednesday this week, and it's been further officialized. Sheeta's been sent over to Japan sort of to oversee the production, to produce the matches along with Emi Sakura as well. So exciting stuff. Like, this is really probably the most exciting women's thing that AEW has done so far. This is so good. A USA side of the bracket and a Japanese side. On the American side, we're getting Britt Baker, Tai Conchi, Thunder Rosa, Nyla Rose, Anna Jay, Layla Hirsch, Rio, and Serena Deeb. We're all going to be in the tournament on the American side of the bracket. On the Japanese side, we're getting motherfucking Aja Kong. We're getting Aja Kong. We're getting Yuka Sakazaki, who's making a comeback to AEW's peepholes. We've got wrestler Veni, who will also be there. Veni, the first Japanese trans wrestler, which is awesome stuff. We got Emi Sakura is going to be there as well. Ryo Mizunami, who is who is a what's the word I'm looking for? An explosive talent. There we go. She's a lot of fun. Mei Suruga, who I'm not too familiar with. I've seen a couple of things. She's 4'10", so it'll give plenty of opportunities for Jim Ross to remind us just how small she is. So that's fantastic. We've also got Rin Kadukura, who I'm definitely not familiar with. And the big one, the big reveal, Maki Ito, motherfuckers, is going to be there. Now, there's a lot of reasons to get excited for Maki Ito. She's a fun presence on the Joshi side of wrestling. Foul-mouthed. She's a combination of asshole and brat. You're not quite sure if she's just if she does what she does just to be bratty or if she's really an asshole. She has great charisma, good worker. I think this is the kind of wrestler she's the kind of wrestler that will get over with the American crowd for people who aren't aware of who she is. Fantastic stuff. This is so good. I am going to be talking about this tournament on the very first edition of a brand new podcast that will be hosted by Kristen Ashley of belltobells.com. She'll be launching a brand new podcast this weekend called Painless, which is basically a short 30-minute conversation about wrestling. And we specifically here are going to be talking about the AEW World Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament. It just rolls off the tongue. But yeah, we're going to be doing that this weekend, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Subscribe to the Bell to Bells YouTube channel if you don't want to miss that. It's going to be good. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about it. It's a good topic to kick this one off. It'll be good stuff. But here are the things that we don't know yet. We don't know when the tournament is starting or where it's being aired. And I'm just prefacing this, guys. I'm just telling you. If the tournament doesn't end up on Dynamite, it's fucked. This is an opportunity for AEW for their women to shine. Do it. Don't be like, we're giving them their own show. That's bullshit. If you want to believe in it, if you want to believe in that this is something strong that you're doing, poof. Main shows Wednesday night. Just a preface, just so that you know that I'm consistent in my complaining. Jason PS3, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. And I think this is the main event. Look, I was excited just to talk about the fact that Jon Moxley showed up on New Japan Strong on last Friday. I was excited just to talk about that. Just to come here, sit behind my microphone, go like this and be like, fellas, ladies, Jon Moxley showed up on New Japan and now he's ready to kick the shit out of Kenta. I'm just thinking about that and I have the goosebumps. But then Wednesday night happens. Main event. Moxley, Pac, Rey Fenix versus Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. Jesus, it was good. Right? A good, strong, solid main event that I could talk about more, but I have to focus on this now. A lot of talking points. I had to pick and choose what I could talk about tonight. And yeah. Here we are. And by the way, Evan Wright had called it on the slate on Wednesday. He said, nah, he's showing up. You have Kenta, who shows up on AEW television, knocks out Jon Moxley. Now, if you want to focus on the fact that that Kenta's go to sleep was a little janky, and John didn't sell it well, or be my guest. Go ahead. But the implications of what happened go way above and beyond a knee to the face in this situation here. And it can't even dampen my excitement. Because Kenta shows up and Kenny Omega's like, holy shit, look at this. Everyone gets excited. I'm excited. We have a little segment backstage after that goes on to the social media stuff, and they're doing a match next week. They're doing Kenny Omega, like Evan Wright super chatted earlier this evening, Kenny Omega and Kenta versus Jon Moxley and Lance Archer in a lights out, anything goes match next week. Jesus Christ. Just when you think AEW might be ready to just slow things down. No. This is so badass. And it is so good for wrestling in general. Like, above and beyond here. Like Nick Wolf early on left us a very generous super chat. Thank you very much, Nick. I hope you're still with us to hear this. If not, the recording is there for posterity. Nick says, the door is open, as in the forbidden door. Tanahashi versus Griff Garrison in a hair versus hair match. Yano versus Orange Cassidy. Lord Taichi versus anyone. Zack Sabre Jr. murders MJF. Hose me down. This is where we're at, indeed, Nick. We are at a moment, again in time, where we're seeing crossover opportunities. Moments to create new and exciting matches that we didn't see. Create the unpredictable element that makes pro wrestling really, really fun to watch. It's just that simple. And you can be a sourpuss about it. You can definitely be a sourpuss about it and be like, well, it's all these smaller guys banding together because they're afraid they can't make it. And if you have that attitude, okay, like I can't tell you how to feel. I'm definitely not going to tell you that you're wrong because it's your opinion. Just like everything I do here is opinion, right? You don't even have to agree with me, and that's chill. But if you sincerely believe that a status quo in the business is really the best way to move forward and to get the fan base reinvigorated, I'm sorry, I can't agree with you. I absolutely cannot. And I will even go as far as to say that I disagree. And anyone who tries to get into the business and that analytics of this way too quickly is obviously AEW can't cut this together because they're losing money. You've obviously lost the spark of what it means to be a fan. You really have. Last night, AEW and New Japan, and with the women too, with Gato Move and Choco Pro, with the Emmys promotions in Japan. A whole bunch of wrestling promotions came together and made my Twitter timeline light up in joy. Because there was a feeling of unpredictability. There was a feeling of endless possibilities. That we weren't just staring down one corridor and there was one way to go. We're breaking the mold. People coming together to work together, to make things happen, to make things special for everyone. There is nothing but good out of this for fans. Do you think New Japan is going to retain the fans from AEW once the AEW fans? It doesn't matter. Do you know why it doesn't matter? Because you're not involved in the business. You're a fan. Just enjoy the ride. If you're a talent, I think you should be excited for this prospect because it will give you more opportunities to get on television, more opportunities to wrestle other people, to go and discover other styles. Send the AEW Dark Boys And girls, well, boys for New Japan, but you know what I mean. Send them over to New Japan on a reverse excursion. Let's do it. And yes, then you get all the dream matches. We can finally get Minoru Suzuki versus Orange Cassidy, boys and girls, before COVID tore that from us. Got Evan right here doing some fantasy booking in Super Chats. Thank you very much, Evan. He's got one here. He says, I need Colt Cabana trying to recruit Toru Yano to Dark Order. Right? Because Colt and Yano are the mega powers of comedy wrestling. They're a tag team. They're friends from Japan. And then another one from Evan Wright. Thank you again for the Super Chat, Evan. I appreciate them all tonight. He says, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Silver, Reynolds, Angels versus LIJ. Of course. Dave Pazewski, good to see you. Welcome to the chat, good guy Dave. God damn it, enjoy it. Why are we worrying about business? And I've told, and I'll tell you again, the monopoly that WWE has had over wrestling over the past 2 decades plus at this point has poisoned our minds into thinking that there is only one way to do wrestling. There's only one way to approach the business. And I think that is incredibly faulty. Why couldn't there be other approaches? Why couldn't we see talent exchange and synergies? Again, apologies. But still, talent exchanges, agreements between promotions have existed for years and years and years in the 70s, 80s, 90s, until WWE became the only game in town and was like, we don't need anyone else. We'll do it all ourselves. And bless their hearts, they did it all by themselves. Good for them. That doesn't mean that it's a model that everyone needs to emulate. For a very special project coming up very, very soon, I watched the first Nitro with Kristen. And the first match on the first Nitro was Brian Pillman against Jushin Thunder Liger. Because WCW had a working arrangement with New Japan. The very first match on the very first Nitro had a guy from New Japan Pro Wrestling, the guy, a legend. Why do we think this is such a sign of weakness, or that we're doing it wrong, or that we're muddling the waters and that it will hurt the business? Is it because we think that everyone is going to be a Vince McMahon in the 80s and is going to strike up these arrangements with other territories and then only to gobble them up, or work with indie promotions and buy them out so that they lose all of their feeling? This is healthy. You, as a wrestling fan, deserve choice. You deserve as many places to watch wrestling as possible. You deserve diversity in what you like. There is no longer just one monolithic way of seeing things and approaching things. We can try different things. This is so good for the business. This is so good. I'm excited. And I hope you guys are excited too. Well, there we have it, folks. Shit. Jermaine Presley left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Jermaine. Another super chat. Very, very kind of you tonight, Jermaine. Thank you very much. Says, please, WWE, for the love of God, can you have these women on your roster? You have these women on your roster Could you please give us Asuka versus Io versus Meiko Satomura at WrestleMania? Oh. You just created a need for me. That would rock. That would absolutely rule. Thank you for that, Jermaine. Would be awesome. And that's how we're going to wrap up the weekly wrestling inspection for today. I'm going to wrap things up here, folks. This was a hard week to put the show together. There's some weeks where I feel like I scramble for things to talk about. This week there was just too much. But just before we go, and I won't go as in depth as I wanted to, because I was joking earlier on Twitter and in the Discord that there's enough material to do a 4-hour show, and I don't want to do a 4-hour show because you guys would all be sick of me. But WWE did have its earnings call today. And without going into tremendous detail, I do want to point out, and you've probably heard the news by now, but just in case, WWE reports its annual net income and its highest annual net income and highest annual revenue of all time in 2020. In a pandemic year, WWE not only was profitable, but it made the most money of its history. That, I have to tip my hat off to them for managing through this. Amazing shit. Their income for 2020, their revenue for 2020 is just under $1 billion for 1 year. $997 million is what they made in 2020. A year where they released a bunch of wrestlers in the middle of the pandemic because they had to cut costs and whatever reasons they wanted. Whatever they wanted to give us. Good for them. Of course, this money comes from licensing deals, selling the content, no live shows. It's all licensing deals. So, of course, you get these results and you're like, fuck the WWE network. We don't want to operate a distribution service anymore. We're just going to pump out the content. And Stephanie McMahon on the call today, in prettier words, essentially said that. We're going to focus on doing content because that's where we're making the money. The network is not growing. It's not making as much money as we want. We're making much more money with just creating content for other distributors. Let's go with that. Let's go all in on licensing. And that's fantastic. Good for them. They're making money, but they're also making so much fucking money. Like, this is obscene levels of money. And I had apologists trying to convince me in April when they released Drake Maverick and Mike Kanellis and Heath Slater, Sarah Logan, all that group, all that bunch, Kurt Angle, everyone who was released at once there. I had people back then saying, well, they have to cut expenses. They want to make money. They want to make sure that they can make it through the pandemic. Kiwi Rob, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. They made almost $1 billion in a year. I can promise you that the salaries of a dozen pro wrestlers didn't make a difference, didn't make a substantial difference in them making close to $1 billion this year. They released people out of a job into a pandemic. There you go. That's exactly what they did. And then, cherry on top, they come out, flex. They flex their great year. They have the call. We made $997 million this year. We're cutting back on expenses. We're not just profitable. They're ultra profitable. Their margins are ridiculous, guys. Their production costs have been slashed. It's absurd. And they release today Steve Cutler, one of the Forgotten Sons, released them today. Cutler went to Twitter and said that it was a surprise, it was a shock. There's reports floating around. I'm going to wait till this settles before I actually start feeding into the reports that have been going around. But it was a surprise to him. He didn't ask for his release. He was released the day the company he worked for announced an all-time record for its income, for its revenue. That is the most callous shit I have seen in a fucking long time. And no, it's not the fact that it's just one guy. It's not the fact that he couldn't get over. It's none of that. It's the act. This is how they do it. They have no perception. They're so completely engrossed in their results and how much money they're making that they don't realize how callous this action comes across as. And I just saw in the chat, yes, if AEW was doing the exact same thing, I would be shitting all over it. And I'll tell you why. And I've told you guys this before. You do not cape for companies. You do not stick up for multi-million-dollar corporations because they will never stick up for you. I don't give a shit if it's WWE. I don't give a shit if it's AEW or New Japan. They do shitty decisions and I will call them out. I will call it out on the same level. If you're making $1 billion a year and you're firing people on the same day that you're making these big ass announcements, you are a shit company. This is the equivalent of this is the equivalent. And again, I've had people say, Activision does it. There are other companies that do it all the time, and that doesn't make it right. It's egregious any way you look at it. And they're not giving this money back. They're hoarding it. When is the last time you've heard of a community initiative by WWE? And I'm not talking about these well-placed partnerships with these big charities that they do. God bless the work that they do with Make-A-Wish and Susan B. Komen. That's fine. But that's not WWE giving back. That's not WWE dragging their money into their opening the purse strings and giving money back. That's WWE donating time in a marketing effort that involves a charity. And it's different. I get so pissed off when I see these outrageously rich corporations pulling off petty, imbecilic, heartless shit like this. And then people have the nerve to come tell me, you wouldn't do this if it was AEW. You're goddamn fucking right. I will do it. And if you don't think that I'm an equal opportunity hater when it comes to corporations in wrestling, you must be new to my show. And it's not even a WWE versus anyone else thing. It's a soulless billion-dollar company that is doing soulless billion-dollar company shit. Just as simple as that. You can try to make it a tribal thing. I don't give a fuck. Seriously, it's the kind of thing that really pisses me off. Most of the time, when I get the, you're an AEW shill, you're a WWE shill, I laugh it off. But it's like, at some point, it's as if we lose the potential, the capacity to empathize with people who are losing their jobs, people that are getting fired, while you have 4 or 5 people who are enriching themselves beyond imagination in an era, in a time, in a year where millions upon millions of people lost their jobs, lost their homes, are unable to fend for themselves, are begging the fucking government to bail them out and help them out. Well, in the meantime, you have hedge fund managers who are begging the government for help because they were caught, because their gaming was caught out on the stock market. They were exposed. They're like, we're going to go no wonder we need money. Whereas you have fucking families out in the street who are who've lost everything or close to it, who are struggling. You have Vince McMahon laughing his way all the fucking way to the bank. $1 billion company releases people on the same day that he announces that. It's bullshit, people. If only Venus was here, right, Kristen? Where's Venus? He could save us all. I swear, guys, I am going to continue trying to order food and try to bring Venus back into our lives. Restore the balance. One burger at a time. Hey, if you want to come chill out now, we're going to head on over to patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes for the post show. And we're going to be having we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about some dream matches that might happen in this AEW New Japan crossover. That'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll put a smile on my face. But thank you all so very much for joining me tonight. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats. Thank you for taking part in the live chat. If you want to continue this discussion, head on over to the Discord, the Mr. Warren Hayes Discord. The link is in the description. We're a good bunch. Lots of great people there, and I'm sure you'll find your spot there as well. So please come on over, join us, yeah, love you all so very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining me this evening, for listening. I'll see you next time.